Jake sat on the edge of his bed, staring at his phone. It had been weeks since he last heard from Ilara, his best friend and the most extraordinary person he knew. The memories of their time together felt like echoes in a vast, empty room. Ilara had moved away to Seraphim Prime, a planet far beyond Earth, filled with wonders he could hardly imagine. Though he was happy for her, a part of him felt lost without her. Every day, Jake would wake up hoping to see a message from Ilara. They used to talk for hours, sharing stories and laughter. But now, silence filled the space where their conversations had once thrived. He missed her vibrant spirit and her unique view of the world. Sometimes, he would find himself smiling at a memory, only to feel a wave of sadness wash over him. It was as if a piece of his heart had traveled with her to the stars. Despite the distance, Jake knew Ilara was doing incredible things as a leader on her home planet. She was the queen of the Seraphim, a spectacular race known for their beauty and intelligence. But she was also physically disabled, navigating the challenges of her position with grace and resilience. He admired her strength, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he was losing her dot one evening. After a long day at work, Jake sat down at his desk. He opened his laptop and began to type a message. "Hey, Ilara, I hope you're doing well. I miss you so much. Things aren't the same here without you." He hesitated, unsure of what else to say. Would she even want to hear from him? Would she remember their friendship as fondly as he did? After a few moments, he hit send, feeling a mix of hope and fear. He spent the rest of the night refreshing his inbox, waiting for a reply that never came. As the days turned into weeks, his longing grew. Jake would often walk to their favorite park, where they used to spend hours talking about everything and nothing. The swings creaked in the wind, but the laughter they once shared felt like a distant memory. One night, as he lay in bed, Jake thought about how he could reconnect with Ilara. "Maybe I could visit her," he muttered to himself. The idea made his heart race. Traveling to another planet was a daunting thought, but his desire to see her again overshadowed his fears. He imagined standing in front of her, sharing stories, and feeling the warmth of her presence. With determination, Jake began to research how to travel to Seraphim Prime. He learned about interstellar flights and the technology that made such journeys possible. It felt overwhelming, but the thought of seeing Ilara again kept him motivated. He saved every penny he could, dreaming of the day he would finally be reunited with her dot as he planned his trip. Jake also began to write letters to Ilara. He poured out his heart, sharing his daily life, his struggles, and his hopes. Each letter was a bridge across the vastness of space, a way to keep their connection alive. He would send them through a special interplanetary mail service, hoping they would reach her. Weeks turned into months, and while he waited for replies, Jake grew more confident in his ability to reach her. He would often imagine her reading his letters, her eyes lighting up as she remembered their friendship. He could almost hear her laughter in his mind, and it filled him with warmth. Finally, the day came when Jake had saved enough money for his journey. He booked a ticket to Seraphim Prime, feeling a mix of excitement and anxiety. As the spaceship lifted off, he looked out at Earth shrinking below him, and a sense of adventure filled his heart. He was determined to see Ilara, to tell her how much she meant to him, and to rebuild the bond that distance had tried to break. When he arrived on Seraphim Prime, he was awestruck by the beauty of the planet. Floating cities shimmered in the sky, and the air felt alive with energy. Jake felt a rush of hope as he made his way to the palace where Ilara lived. He knew she was busy, but he hoped she would find time to see him as he approached the palace. Gates, his heart raced. Would she be happy to see him? What if she had changed too much? He took a deep breath and stepped inside. The palace was grand, with lush gardens and sparkling fountains. Everything seemed to glow with a magical light. Finally, he reached the throne room. Elara sat on her throne, her presence commanding yet gentle. She wore a beautiful gown that flowed like water, and her eyes sparkled with intelligence. But Jake noticed the wheelchair beside her, a reminder of her struggles. He felt a rush of admiration for her strength. When Elara saw him, her eyes widened in surprise. "Jake, you're here!" she exclaimed, her voice filled with joy. She wheeled herself closer, and for a moment they both stood still, soaking in the reality of their reunion. "I missed you so much," Jake said, his voice thick with emotion. "I missed you too," Elara replied, her smile radiant. "I can't believe you came all this way." As they talked, Jake felt the distance between them begin to fade. They shared stories, laughter, and dreams, as if no time had passed. In that moment, he realized that their bond was stronger than any galaxy could separate. Elara was still the same incredible person he loved, and he felt hopeful for the future. Jake understood now that love and friendship can overcome any obstacle, no matter how vast. He was ready to support Elara in her role as queen, and together they would forge a new path, filled with hope and adventure. And as he looked into her eyes, he knew that their journey was just beginning. Jake stood in the grand throne room of Seraphim Prime, still trying to process the joy of seeing Elara again. They had spent hours talking, sharing laughter and stories, as if no time had passed since she had moved away. But as the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the room, Jake felt a new wave of uncertainty wash over him. He could sense the challenges that lay ahead, and the distance that had grown between them was still there, albeit a little less daunting. Elara had changed in some ways. She was more confident now, embracing her role as queen with a grace Jake admired deeply. Yet he couldn't shake the feeling that she was carrying the weight of her responsibilities alone. He wanted to help her, to be by her side, but he wasn't sure how to navigate the new dynamics of their friendship. "Jake," Elara said, her voice pulling him from his thoughts. "Thank you for coming. It means the world to me. But I hope you understand that I have many duties now. Being a queen is not easy." "I get it," Jake replied, trying to keep his tone light. "But I'm here for you. I want to help in any way I can." He meant it with all his heart, but he felt a twinge of doubt. What could he really do to support her in this new life? Elara smiled, but he noticed a flicker of sadness in her eyes. "You don't know the pressure I feel. There are so many expectations, and I can't let anyone down. Sometimes I feel so alone, even in a crowd." Jake's heart ached for her. He wanted to reach out, to reassure her that she was not alone. "You're not alone, Elara. I'm here. We can face this together." They spent the next few days exploring the beautiful planet and its wonders. Jake marveled at the floating cities and the breathtaking landscapes, but he couldn't shake the feeling of distance between them. Elara was busy with meetings and royal duties, and while he was thrilled to be by her side, he felt like an outsider in her world. One afternoon, while she attended a council meeting, Jake wandered through the palace gardens. The flowers were vibrant and exotic, and the air was filled with sweet fragrances. He found a quiet spot near a fountain and sat down, pulling out his notebook. He began to write her a letter, pouring out his thoughts and feelings. "Dear Elara," he wrote, "I know you have so much on your plate. I can see how hard you work for your people. But I want you to know that I'm here to support you. No matter what happens, I care about you and want to help however I can." He paused, looking up at the sky. "I miss our talks. I miss our laughter. I wish things could go back to how they were, but I know that's not possible. I just want you to know that I believe in you." After finishing the letter, Jake sealed it and decided to give it to her later. He hoped it would remind her that even though their lives had changed, Their bond remained strong. That evening, they had dinner together in the palace dining hall. A table was beautifully set, with delicious dishes from both their cultures. Alara looked radiant, but Jake could still sense the stress behind her smile. "Jake," she said, her voice softening, "I appreciate you being here. It's nice to have a friend I can talk to. But I want you to know that I have a lot of expectations to meet. The council is pushing for me to marry, to strengthen our alliances. It's a lot to handle." Jake's heart sank. The thought of Alara marrying someone she didn't love made him feel uneasy. "You don't have to do anything you don't want to," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "You are the queen, but you're also a person with feelings and dreams. You deserve to choose your own path." Alara looked at him, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Jake. It's hard to see a way out sometimes. I want to lead my people, but I also want to be true to myself. Your support means everything." After dinner, Jake decided it was time to give her the letter. He felt nervous, but he knew it was important. "Alara," he said, taking a deep breath, "I wrote you something." He handed her the letter, watching as she opened it. As she read, he could see her expression change. Her brow furrowed in concentration, and then her eyes softened. When she finished, she looked up at him, tears glistening in her eyes. "Jake, this means so much to me. You remind me of who I am outside of this palace. I need that now more than ever." As the days passed on Seraphim Prime, Jake felt both excitement and anxiety about his new relationship with Alara. Their conversations had grown deeper, filled with shared dreams and hopes for the future. Yet Jake couldn't shake the feeling that the challenges ahead might pull them apart again. Alara was still the queen, and her responsibilities weighed heavily on her shoulders. One morning, Jake woke up early, his mind racing with thoughts. He knew Alara was facing pressure from the council to marry and strengthen alliances, and he couldn't help but worry. Would she feel obligated to accept a proposal from someone else? Did her feelings for him matter in the grand scheme of her duties? He wanted to support her, but he was terrified of losing her. After breakfast, Jake decided to take a walk in the palace gardens. The flowers bloomed brightly, and the air was filled with sweet scents. As he strolled along the paths, he thought about how to help Alara navigate her royal obligations without sacrificing her happiness. He wanted to remind her that she had choices, that she could be both a great queen and true to herself. Later that day, Alara had a meeting with her council members. Jake was allowed to sit in and listen, hoping to understand her world better. As he watched her in action, he admired her intelligence and poise. She spoke passionately about her vision for Seraphim Prime, advocating for peace and unity among the different factions. But he could also see the stress etched on her face and the tension in her shoulders. After the meeting, Alara looked exhausted. "I'm sorry, Jake. Sometimes it feels like they don't understand me," she admitted, rubbing her temples. "They want me to marry someone to secure alliances, but I don't want to rush into anything." Jake stepped closer, concern filling his eyes. "You don't have to do anything you don't want to. Your happiness matters. If they truly care about you and the kingdom, they will understand." Alara sighed, looking out at the beautiful gardens. "I wish it were that simple. The council thinks a marriage would strengthen our position, but I don't want to be a pawn in a political game. I want to choose for myself." Her words struck a chord in Jake's heart. "You have the power to make your own choices, Alara. You're a great leader, and you deserve to find happiness on your own terms. Let me help you." Alara turned to him, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you for believing in me. Your support means more than you know." As the days turned into weeks, Jake and Alara worked together to come up with a plan. They would meet with the council and discuss alternatives to a political marriage. They could propose alliances based on mutual respect and cooperation, rather In forced unions, Jake felt a sense of purpose. He wanted to stand by Alara and help her fight for her dreams. On the day of the council meeting, Jake felt a mix of nerves and excitement. He stood beside Alara as she addressed the council members. "I appreciate your concerns for our kingdom's future," she began, her voice steady. "But I believe that true alliances are formed through understanding and friendship, not through marriage alone." Jake watched as the council members shifted in their seats, some nodding in agreement, while others looked skeptical. Alara continued, "I want to create partnerships that benefit us all. I have a vision for a future where we work together, not one built on obligation." When she finished speaking, there was a moment of silence. Jake held his breath, hoping the council would see the wisdom in her words. Finally, one of the older members spoke up. "Your vision is admirable, Queen Alara, but how do you plan to ensure that these partnerships are strong and lasting?" Alara smiled, her confidence shining through. "By fostering relationships based on trust and collaboration. I propose we create cultural exchanges, invite leaders to meet and share ideas, and build a network of friendships that will transcend politics." The discussion continued, and slowly the council began to warm to her ideas. Jake felt a surge of hope. Alara's passion and determination were contagious, and he could see her vision taking shape. After the meeting, Alara and Jake walked through the gardens, feeling a sense of relief. "I can't believe they actually listened," Alara said, her face lighting up with excitement. "You were amazing," Jake replied, smiling. "You showed them that you won't be pushed into a corner. You're a leader, and you're fighting for what you believe in." As they strolled, Jake felt a growing sense of connection between them. "Alara, I want you to know that I'm here for you, no matter what happens. If you ever feel pressured to marry someone you don't want, remember that you have a choice. You don't have to do it alone." Alara stopped and turned to him, her eyes serious. "Jake, your support means everything to me. I've never felt so understood before. I believe we can create a future together, where I can be both a queen and a person who follows her heart." Jake felt a rush of warmth at her words. "I want that too. I care about you deeply, Alara. You're not just a queen to me. You're my friend and someone I truly admire." In that moment, they shared a look that spoke volumes. Jake felt a sense of hope that he hadn't experienced in a long time. Their bond was growing stronger, and he believed they could face whatever challenges lay ahead together. As they continued to walk, Jake's heart swelled with determination. He knew that they could create a future where Alara didn't have to sacrifice her dreams for the sake of duty. He wanted to be by her side, helping her navigate the complexities of her role while staying true to herself. That night, as they sat together in the palace, Alara turned to him, her expression thoughtful. "Jake, I've been thinking about the future. I know I have responsibilities, but I also want to explore what we can be together. You inspire me to be my best self." Jake smiled, feeling a rush of hope. "I want to explore that too. Together, we can face anything. You are the queen, but you are also my friend, and I believe in you." As they continued to talk late into the night, Jake realized that their journey was just beginning. They were building a foundation of trust and understanding, and together, they would create a future filled with hope and possibilities. With Alara by his side, he knew they could conquer any challenge that came their way, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. As the weeks turned into months on Seraphim. Prime, Jake felt a mix of joy and anxiety. His relationship with Alara deepened, but the pressure from the council to secure her marriage loomed over them like a dark cloud. Despite their growing bond, Jake worried that the demands of her royal duties would pull them apart again. One evening, as they sat in the palace garden under the stars, Jake sensed that Alara was troubled. She stared at the shimmering flowers, her expression distant. "What's on your mind?" he asked gently, hoping to reach her. Elara sighed, her fingers playing with the petals of a glowing flower. I've been thinking a lot about the council. They keep pushing for a marriage alliance. They think it's the best way to strengthen our position, but I don't want to marry someone just for politics. Jake felt a pang in his heart. He wished he could take away her worries. You don't have to agree to anything you don't want. You deserve to choose for yourself, Elara. I know, she replied, looking up at him. But the pressure is immense. I feel like I'm letting everyone down if I don't follow their expectations. Sometimes I wonder if I'm strong enough to lead. Jake took her hand, his grip firm and reassuring. You are strong, Elara. You've already shown so much courage by standing up for your vision of leadership. You're not just a queen. You're a leader who cares about her people. You have what it takes to make the right choices. Elara smiled faintly, but her eyes still held doubt. I appreciate your support, Jake. It gives me hope. But I still feel so alone in this. Sometimes I wish I could escape all of this and just be myself. Jake felt a surge of determination. Maybe we can find a way for you to be yourself, while also being the queen. What if we organized a cultural festival? It could bring people together and show that alliances can be formed through friendship and understanding, not just marriage. Elara's eyes lit up at the idea. A festival. That could be amazing. It would allow people to connect and celebrate our cultures. It might even ease the council's fears about a marriage alliance. Yes. We could invite leaders from different planets, share traditions, and create new friendships, Jake said, excited by the prospect. This could be a way to unite everyone without forcing you into a marriage you don't want. As they brainstormed ideas for the festival, Jake felt a renewed sense of purpose. He wanted to help Elara realize her dreams while also creating a space where she could be herself. They spent hours planning, imagining colorful decorations, music, and food from both their worlds. Laughter filled the air, and for a moment, the pressure of the council faded away. However, as the festival approached, Elara's anxiety began to surface again. The council was still skeptical, and she received pressure from various factions to consider marriage seriously. Jake could see the strain on her face as the festival date drew near. One afternoon, Elara met with the council to discuss the festival's plans. Jake waited outside the grand hall, pacing nervously. He knew how much this festival meant to her, and he hoped the council would support her vision. After what felt like hours, Elara emerged, her expression somber. Jake, they agreed to the festival, but they still want me to consider marriage. They think it will be a good way to show my commitment to the kingdom, she said. The festival on Seraphim Prime had been a grand success, and for a moment, everything felt right in Elara's world. She had stood in front of her people, united them through joy and celebration, and reminded herself of her strength. Yet, as the days passed after the festival, the pressure from the council returned, heavier than ever. The excitement of the event faded, replaced by an uneasy tension in the palace. Jake noticed the change in Elara. The spark in her eyes dimmed as she returned to her daily duties as queen. While she had briefly escaped the pressure during the festival, now it loomed over her like a shadow. He felt a familiar sense of distance, creeping back into their relationship. He wanted to help her, but he wasn't sure how to reach her. One evening, as they sat in the palace gardens, Jake could see the worry etched on Elara's face. What's bothering you? He asked gently, hoping to coax her out of her thoughts. Elara sighed, looking down at her hands. The council has started discussing potential suitors again. They think I should meet with candidates to see who might be a good match. It feels like they want to pressure me into a marriage I don't want. Her voice trembled with frustration. Jake felt his heart ache for her. Elara, you don't have to do this. You're the queen. You can make your own choices. I know, but they say that if I don't choose someone soon, it will weaken our position. They want stability, and they think a marriage will provide that, she replied, her voice heavy with disappointment. Jake took a deep breath, trying to find the right words. You have shown everyone that true strength comes from within. You don't need to marry anyone to prove your worth or secure your kingdom. You can lead in your own way. Alara looked up at him, her eyes shining with unshed tears. I want to believe that, but the pressure is so strong. Sometimes I feel like I'm fighting a battle I can't win. Jake reached out, taking her hand in his. You're not alone in this fight. I'm here, and I believe in you. Maybe together, we can find a way to change their minds. Alara squeezed his hand, and for a moment, he saw a flicker of hope in her eyes. What do you suggest? She asked, her voice softening. Let's meet with the council and present a plan, Jake said, feeling a surge of determination. We can propose a new way of thinking about leadership and alliances. We can show them that cooperation and friendship are stronger than marriage for political reasons. Ilara's face brightened slightly. You really think they would listen? Absolutely. You've already proven that you can inspire them. You have a vision for the future, and I know they'll see that. Together, we can make them understand, Jake replied confidently. The next day, they prepared for the council meeting. Ilara practiced her speech, and Jake helped her refine her ideas. They worked late into the night, determined to present a united front. Jake felt a renewed sense of hope as he watched Ilara regain her confidence. When the day of the council meeting arrived, Jake stood by Ilara's side, ready to support her. The grand hall was filled with council members, their faces serious and watchful. Jake could feel the tension in the air as Ilara stepped forward to address them. Thank you all for gathering today, she began, her voice steady. I want to talk about the future of our kingdom and the importance of forming alliances based on trust and friendship rather than forced marriages. As she spoke, Jake watched the expressions of the council members. Some looked skeptical, while others seemed intrigued. Ilara continued, her passion shining through. The festival we held recently was a perfect example of how we can build connections. People from different cultures came together, celebrated, and found common ground. That is what will strengthen our future. Jake felt a surge of pride as Ilara spoke. She was a true leader, and her vision was powerful. After her speech, the room fell silent for a moment. Finally, one of the older council members, a stern-looking woman named Lady Astra, spoke up. Your festival was commendable, but how can we be sure that these connections will hold without a marriage to solidify them? Ilara took a deep breath, her eyes fierce with determination. We can create partnerships based on shared goals, mutual respect, and friendship. We can organize cultural exchanges, trade agreements, and joint projects that will benefit us all. I want to lead with my heart, not just my title. Another council member, a younger man named Kieran, raised his hand. But what if those partnerships don't last? Isn't a marriage a more secure way to ensure loyalty? Ilara responded with confidence. True loyalty comes from trust, not obligation. I want to build a future where our alliances are founded on genuine relationships. That is how we will thrive. The discussion continued, and Jake could see that Ilara's words were resonating with some of the council members. They began to debate the merits of her ideas. Slowly, the atmosphere in the room shifted. Jake felt a wave of hope as he watched. Ilara stood her ground, inspiring those around her. After some time, Lady Astra finally spoke again. Perhaps we should consider a trial period for these partnerships. If they can prove successful, we may have a new way forward. Ilara's face lit up with gratitude. Thank you, Lady Astra. I truly believe this is the future we need. As the meeting concluded, Jake felt a rush of relief and joy. Elara had successfully defended her vision, and they had taken a significant step toward changing the council's perspective. Later that evening, as they walked through the palace gardens, Elara turned to Jake, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "We did it! They actually listened! I can't believe it." Jake smiled, feeling lighthearted. "You did it, Elara. You stood up for what you believe in, and it paid off. I'm so proud of you." Elara stopped and looked at him, her expression serious. "I couldn't have done it without you. Your support gave me the strength to fight for my dreams. Thank you for believing in me." Jake felt a warmth spread through him. "You believed in yourself too. You've shown that you are not just a queen. You are a leader who cares about her people's future." As they stood under the stars, Jake felt a sense of hope blossoming between them. He realized that their bond had grown stronger through this journey. Together, they could face any challenge. "I want you to know that I'll always stand by your side, no matter what happens," Jake said softly. "I want that too," Elara replied, her eyes shining with determination. "Together, we can create the future we both want." In that moment, Jake felt a renewed sense of purpose. They were not just allies. They were partners in every sense of the word. And as they looked toward the future, he knew they could build a world where Elara could be both a queen and a person who lived her truth. With a heart full of hope, Jake took Elara's hand, ready to face whatever came next. Together, they would navigate the complexities of their lives, united in their dreams and aspirations, and ready to change the world. The days following the council meeting brought a new energy to Seraphim Prime. Elara's vision for the kingdom was starting to take shape, and the success of the festival had inspired hope among the people. Yet, despite the positive changes, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that something was still amiss. He sensed the distance between him and Elara growing again, even as they stood side by side fighting for her dreams. Elara was busier than ever. With the council's newfound support, she was determined to implement her ideas. Meetings filled her days, and Jake often felt like a visitor in her world, waiting for moments of connection. Every evening, he would find her buried in scrolls and reports, her brow furrowed with concentration. He admired her dedication, but also felt a pang of sadness at the time they were losing together. One evening, as Jake watched Elara work, he decided it was time to reach out. He wanted to remind her of the bond they shared, to let her know that she wasn't alone in her journey. After dinner, while she was still reviewing documents, he approached her desk. "Hey, Elara," he said gently, trying to break through her. "Focus. Can we talk?" She looked up, her eyes weary but bright. "Of course, Jake. What's on your mind?" "I've noticed you've been really busy lately," he began, searching for the right words. "I just want you to know that I'm here for you. I don't want us to lose what we have while you're working so hard." Elara sighed, placing her scroll down. "I appreciate that, Jake. I've been trying to make progress, but sometimes it feels overwhelming. I don't want to let anyone down, especially not you." Jake reached out, taking her hand. "You could never let me down. I believe in your vision, but I also believe in us. We need to take time for each other, too. We can't lose sight of what brought us together in the first place." Elara looked at him, her expression softening. "You're right. I've been so focused on my duties that I've neglected our friendship. I don't want to lose that connection." Jake smiled, feeling a spark of hope. "Let's plan a day just for us. We could revisit the places we went to during the festival, maybe even have a picnic in the gardens. We need to reconnect." Elara's face lit up at the idea. "That sounds wonderful. I'd love to do that. It's important to remember who I am outside of my responsibilities." The next day, they set aside time for their special outing. Jake prepared a picnic basket filled with food from both Earth and Seraphim Prime, blending their cultures into one meal. As they walked through the beautiful gardens, Jake felt a sense of joy returning. The flowers were in full bloom, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of blossoms. They found a shaded spot beneath a giant tree